Note that before you watch this video, this is going to be a spoiler discussion that I made. So if you guys don't want the video to be spoiled, I will make sure to put timestamps either down below in the description box or in the comment section pinned. So yeah, be warned, spoilers ahead. I honestly don't know where to begin with this video. I went into the movie theaters, I think, with low expectations, or maybe nothing at all because I didn't really expect much, you know? But I honestly didn't think too much of JoJo Rabbit even before I went to see it. I went to see it with a bunch of friends. We're just there to see a movie, just have some fun together, because we didn't see each other for like a long time, but oh boy, did we have a lot of fun watching JoJo Rabbit. Now, I know for a lot of people that there's a lot of political satire movies out there. I've only seen some, and they happen to have been The Dictator, which is still one of my favorites, and The Interview, which is another one of my favorites, but JoJo Rabbit, I think, is a great movie. I wouldn't say masterpiece, but I would say at least a good movie. It has flaws, but I'm only here to talk about the good for this movie. Like most films that come out in today's cinema, we're always bombarded by the superhero genre. And that's not me like talking shit about it, but the superhero genre is always one that fascinates the casual fans and the comic book fans as a whole, but 2019 was a year of good and bad superhero films such as Far From Home. I kind of like it, I kind of hate it. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm in the middle about it still. Shazam, one of DC's best movies from 2019, aside from The Joker, which is hands down one of DC's best standalone movies that's not even part of their connected universe. And yeah, here are a bunch of memes for you guys. And then Avengers Endgame. Critically panned between fans, you know, because the fandom's like, oh, it's cool to hate. Oh, no, I can't say that. I can't say that. Someone else's video. It's someone else's video. I don't want to steal that idea. But you get what I mean. Avengers Endgame is pretty much just like mixed with a lot of the fans. People either hate it for the good reasons or for just the dumbest reasons. I'm mixed with it, and you know, Captain Marvel. I just really hate that movie. And then X-Men Dark Phoenix, which is no one really cared about, and you know, Hellboy, one of the movies that got rebooted for probably just cash grab. Had no reason to be rebooted. Honestly, kind of stupid they couldn't get back Ron Perlman or Guillermo del Toro. As much as anyone hates Hellboy 2: The Golden Army, that is 10 times better than the Hellboy reboot. Now, what does this have to do with Jojo Rabbit, you say? Oh, well, for me, Jojo Rabbit was one of those movies that kind of opened the doors to cinema, in a sense. And it really helped me try to understand more about film and watch other movies out there, man. The storytelling for this movie is honestly brilliant. I mean, while it's not a character study, Taika does his best to write and direct the story of JoJo really, really well. I mean, we see JoJo as a kid, because the whole movie is about him as a kid growing up during World War II, and how awful it was basically to be a kid, a German, as well as being a Nazi. We see it first with the kids in the movie, the children. The young children of Germany are all being brainwashed by the Hitler Youth Program, and that was a real thing that happened way back then in World War II Germany. It was one of the things that really creeped me out, how Germany was able to put these false ideologies and nonsense into kids' minds. And I know, I don't want to spoil this for you guys. I'm pretty sure it's already been out there in the trailers, but in history and what Taika used right that actually made for powerful moments in the last act of the film was the use of child soldiers. That scene alone, even in the trailers, it left a huge impact, and it made this scene memorable for lots of good and lots of bad reasons. The youth program as a whole, thanks to the Nazis, was honestly, to God, terrible. It's scary to think how the Nazis were able to manipulate these kids, because, you know, they're kids and they can get away with anything, basically. Thankfully, though, for JoJo, he's actually able to see through all the bullshit later on, thanks to really good characters, such as his mom, who's played by Scarlett Johansson, who I believe in this movie had really good chemistry with Roman Griffin Davis, and they came off as a believable mother and son duo. And because of it, their screen time together is really special. It feels special. And you're left wanting more, because both these two on the screen, when they're sharing a lot of scenes together, they leave a huge impact, and they will pull at your heartstrings, and I will bring that up later. But for now, let's transition into the other characters of this movie. Whoever was in charge of casting director for this movie did a really fine job by getting actors and actresses such as Roman Griffin Davis to play JoJo Betzler, Scarlett Johansson as Rosie Betzler, his mother, Thomasin McKenzie, I probably butchered her first name, but McKenzie, who plays Elsa Core, even Sam Rockwell, who leaves a pretty good performance for the time he's given in this movie, alongside Stephen Merchant, otherwise known as the Caliban in Logan. They even got Rebel Wilson, otherwise known as
Fat Amy.
Rebel Wilson is just hilarious in this whole movie. Like, I love that they casted her in here. Of course, there's also a little bit of Alfie Allen with a lot of Sam Rockwell in some scenes. And of course, everyone's lovable fat kid in this one, Archie Yates, who plays Yorkie. And yes, I can say fat because I am a fat midget. Get over it. Yeah, he's a lovable character. And let's not forget Taika Waititi, the man that wrote the screenplay and directed the film. I give the man a standing ovation. Or I don't know how to say it right, but this man deserves a lot of credit for this film because it took major balls for him to be Hitler. And that's a lot to say because, I mean, I don't want to get into politics or anything, but this movie actually offended some people in many different ways, you know? But Taika, being Taika, had the balls to do it. And the man is Jewish. If some of you wanted to know a fun fact, the man is Jewish and felt uncomfortable playing Hitler, but still did it. This was basically his fuck you to Hitler. The whole movie works. I love how he plays Hitler. It's basically like a buffoon type character. He's just funny that he's supposed to be there. I mean, what do you hate in real life? Yeah, we hate him. You're gonna hate him in the movie regardless also. I mean, it's just funny how Taika does it, and it works really, really well. Note that these next scenes that I will show in this part of the video are heavy spoilers, and by heavy I mean these are like really big and important to the movie in a sense. These scenes alone are as big as, or at least left a huge impact, like the child soldier scene that I mentioned earlier in the video. These two things happen at different times, but they both have to do with the deaths of, in my opinion, two major characters, at least in JoJo's life. One being his mother, Rosie Betzler, and the other being Captain Klenzel. And what honestly felt even more depressing is how both these deaths were basically done off-screen. One that we never really get to see is Rosie Betzler's death, while for Sam Rockwell's Klenzel, we sort of see it, but we don't, and it's really it's an emotional moment because he does it for like a good thing, and it's to save JoJo's life from the American soldiers because they think that JoJo is a Nazi soldier when he isn't it, and they're gonna round up all these Nazis and kill them for their crimes, but he saves JoJo because he's just a kid, and in doing so, he saves his life. There are many other themes that are seen throughout this movie, such as tribalism and loyalty, but aside from that, the one theme that I wanted to tackle in today's video was true love conquers all.
You're stupid. Love is the strongest thing in the world.
I think you'll find that metal is the strongest thing in the world, followed closely by dynamite, and then muscles. Besides, I wouldn't even know it if I saw it.
Surprise, surprise. Your shoelaces are undone again. Oh, JoJo, you'll know when it happens. You'll feel it. It's a pain.
That message stays with JoJo after everything that happens with his mom, and it can also be seen when him and Elsa share more screen time together, especially in the final act where both of them are dancing, and it goes back to what Scarlett Johansson also says, or her character at least, about dancing and how it's time to rejoice in a sense because they're free and the future's going to be uncertain, and it's what people do when they no longer have to fear anything because now the Allies have invaded and the Nazis are completely gone.
Why
Like history class taught us, history is one thing you shouldn't forget, regardless of how boring or too long it can be. But history, like World War II and a lot of the really bad stuff, is important because we need to remind ourselves and remember that stuff like that could happen so long ago can still happen. This film may be a political satire, anti-hate satire, and just a film in general, but the messages around it and the history to it with its context is done correctly, which leads to my final thought to you guys watching is this is a film you guys really shouldn't pass out on. Regardless of how anyone can view it, Jojo Rabbit is a movie that we all need to see at least once or twice, because stories that are involved in that movie can still happen today, and it's better to not let history repeat itself. Now, I do apologize for not getting this video out any sooner than it was supposed to. This video was supposed to come out since last Christmas, but I failed you guys. That's on me. I'm sorry. But on the bright side, there are a couple new projects that I'm going to be in. Some that involve a podcast with some really good friends that I met through George's Discord, and a new video essay series if I can actually work up and have the courage to it, because it's my next cosplay for Imperial Valley Comic Con. But yeah, stay tuned for that. Make sure to give a like, dislike. Feel free to have a discussion with me in the comments about Jojo Rabbit or any movie you guys want down there. Subscribe if you're new, or subscribe if you haven't at least also. And stay tuned for the next one. Thank you guys.